there, and welcome to the Fearless Artist Podcast, where we empower classical musicians to build their own thriving careers. I'm your host, Michelle Lynn, and together with Deanna Petre, we teach artists to conquer the entrepreneurial side of their careers and create the futures they want. We are two freelance classical musicians who have lived and worked in Europe for a decade, and together we started the Fearless Artist Mastermind, a coaching company created to teach classical musicians how to overcome fear and take action on building their dream careers. In each episode, we will explore the intersection of artistry and entrepreneurship, teaching you the fearless mindset with practical steps and strategies to build a sustainable career. Get ready to build your own artistic brand, find a supportive community of musicians so that you don't have to figure out everything alone, and earn a living that you deserve. We believe that you can be a thriving artist and not a starving one, and we are redefining what it means to be a classical musician in the modern era. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Fearless Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Lynn, and today I'm very honored to have Lucas Meachem on. Welcome, Lucas.
Thanks. I'm honored as well. Though I feel that word is way overused, especially in social media. So we can jump right in.
Okay, well, I truly was honored, but
I believe you.
I can say I'm excited and thrilled and anticipating this conversation because my staff, my TFA staff, is fangirling over this. They were like, "Oh my God, he said yes, he's coming on." They were so like, our group chat exploded when you said yes.
If only they knew how easy it was to get me. I am a yes guy. I love to, like, literally people write me on Instagram or anywhere, and I'm just like, and I send them a little voicemail. I have voice messages going with like 5 people right now that are just like, "Oh, how do I sing a high G? And I'm working on this. And if you send me stuff, I will send you stuff back." So I'm easy to get. So
how do you make time for this if you have such a huge following and you're singing in the biggest halls in the world and like you're just giving coachings on your Instagram DMs?
That's a great question. I don't even think of it as making time. I think of it as I got so much help when I was coming up from like the generation before me that I can only think that I could never repay the people that have helped me so much. And so it doesn't feel like work at all to me. It just feels like go do what you should do, which is give back to the generation that's coming up.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I saw your Wikipedia. Is it true that you were discovered in a karaoke bar? I think that's good. I gotta know.
It's kind of like, that's the perfect analogy for social media, is that I was discovered in a karaoke bar.
Yeah.
Because, as what you see is not, reality is not social media, and so I was discovered in a karaoke bar about 10 years after beginning to study opera and singing and, having gone through 8 years of university, 2 years of a young artist program at San Francisco Opera. Then I was discovered. You're right.
That's
after
hilarious. All that. But like we always need these little catchphrases for the marketing story, right? So I just thought it was so funny.
It's evergreen. That karaoke story is evergreen. And I'll tell you if you ask.
Okay, speaking of the social media, if you want to start with like the online presence, that's how we found you. And I think I shared this with you already, but we've been using your socials as an example in the entrepreneurship class that I taught at university, because you're so open with your audience and building a fan base, and you've got the vlogs and you show your life and your family and your beautiful wife. So I would just love to maybe start there. Like, why, when you have this career, this amazing career with like the biggest halls and the prestige and the roles and the preparation that goes, and still you're letting people in. So I think that's really interesting for us.
Well, thanks for saying all those nice things, because
just this season alone, you're right now you're in Florence. You're opening Les Pêcheurs de Perles demain, tomorrow.
Yes.
And
I am tomorrow opening Pearl Fishers, and
then you're going to be in Barcelona and New York this season. And
it is. It's so funny though, because it's so much work and effort to build a career, and to not just build it, but to maintain a career, that the maintenance never feels like success. And so from the outside looking in, I am, successful. I am currently succeeding, but I have so much more that I want to accomplish. And what I've talked with some really dear friends about this who have the same problem, is that the amount of grind and effort it takes to get here, and the amount of the work ethic that you build to be able to make a career in opera, you can't put that to rest once you have, quote unquote, begun to make it. It's like, it never goes away. I still have such ambitions that I feel like I'm still getting started inside of me. I'm like, okay, well, now I'm singing here, but I know I need to do these roles. And now that the Verdi world is opened up for me, it's like, oh my God, I'm a baby in this world. And so in a way, it's a good thing. And it's a way it's tough because you should appreciate how far you've come while also having ambition for achieving more in the future. And I'm trying to walk that tightrope, and it's not, I don't always succeed. And, but I think what you're feeling in my social media is simply the fact that I'm not trying to be anything on social media other than authentic.
Mm.
That is the secret recipe for social media is authenticity. And you can feel fakeness. You can feel somebody, grubbing for likes and for views and for followership. I didn't set out to become anything on social media other than myself and maybe try and help some people along the way. And if I had something to give back, I wanted to give it back because I have a feeling of gaining so much from those who came before me, like I said earlier, that I just want to help those that I can. And I don't want to make money. I don't make money. I mean, even the books that we sell, it's negligible. It's like it's all about just putting it back out there. And I'm one of those believers that it comes back to you if you put yourself and love out there. It somehow finds its way back.
That's so beautiful, and I appreciate so much what you just said. Can you talk more about the level of effort it takes to maintain where you're at? Because there's supposed to be this
Yeah,
idea that, it takes so much to start up, but once you get there, you can manage it. But you're saying, no, it's still costing you to maintain this level.
I'll say this: I have never worked harder in my career than I do right this second.
Wow.
Never, never. I mean, I was just singing a world premiere at La Scala, and it was the hardest I've ever worked in my career. It was a world premiere. It was a wonderful experience, but a big, very difficult experience as well. And there are just so many obstacles and hurdles because the thing is, the more you learn, the more you're able to sort of move forward in the career. And you're like, okay, I'm feeling very good in this, and then you move up at another level, and all of a sudden there are new hurdles that you have to learn how to deal with. So there's hurdles at every level. And I mean, it's this joke that everyone knows. That's the four stages of any career, but an operatic career is who's Lucas Meachem, and then they say, "Get me Lucas Meachem," and then the third stage is we've got Lucas Meachem, and then the fourth is who's Lucas Meachem. So it's the those really are the four stages of this, and so you kind of knowing that's coming, knowing that is part of the deal. You just want to stay relevant in some way as long as you can. And I
Mm.
find that the harder I work and the more prepared I am and the more I show up ready to do a good job, the more relevant I can be.
How have you learned to improve the hard work? Because you've worked hard your entire career up to now. So what has changed in your method, your preparation, your intention when you show up?
An understanding of what this career, I mean, I don't want to say I know what this career is about, but I know a lot more than I used to. I used to ignorantly think that best singer wins. And the thing is, you do have to be the best singer you can possibly be, but there are so many other factors that I never would have considered when I was younger. When I was starting out, I just thought I'm just going to be the best singer and I will succeed. And it is just that simple. And there are so many more details. I mean, we could get into it a little bit, but you can't even list them all in however long this podcast is going to be. There's just a lot more details that people care about. And yeah, I'll give just a quick example, or not even an example, just a quick piece of advice is that if you look at your career through, or what you want through the eyes of the casting director, I think you'll find more success in getting what you want.
Oh, that's interesting. Like tailoring the messaging for who the audience is.
Who the audience that is going to pay your bills is.
Right.
So not even the public.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people not do well with the public and then have very big careers at certain opera houses,
Mm.
and not even be the best singers. But it's like anything. Relationships are so important, and you
Okay.
don't have to be everything to everyone. You have to be really liked by 6 to 10 houses, and you can have a major career that way.
Oh, that's nice. That's interesting. What's one of the most surprising things looking back when you were a student? You're saying back then you thought I just need to be the best, and now you're saying there were so many more pieces. What was the one that really surprised you?
Well, back in the day when I started, it was 6-pack abs. Like to be a baritone, you just needed a 6-pack and you were going to take your shirt off. And that always surprised me. I mean, I was never out of shape, but I was never like 6-pack in shape. And I thought, well, that's okay because I sing better than some of those baritones that have six pack abs. So that will be fine. And ultimately, it has turned out to be fine. And I have weathered the storm of the six pack and back in the day. And anyway, but that was something that I had to overcome. But I had to realize it existed in order to overcome it, or in
Mm,
order to play that game, or
yeah.
in order to, do 100 push-ups a day for a few weeks and see where we're at when I have to do Don Giovanni and be shirtless. It's like learn the game so that you can play the game. And that doesn't mean playing the game. It means knowing the game and playing your own game that might help you to get to where you want to be.
Kind of like knowing the enemy a bit too. Like, what are you up against?
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's like, yeah. So what does that make a six pack? The enemy of six packs is donuts. So donuts are my friend. That's what it
I love
is.
this. I love this analogy. When you say being aware of what the casting director wants, but then you also said authenticity is one of your core values. That's what you're showing on on Instagram, on your socials. How
Yeah,
did you navigate that? Being aware of what the person listening to you wants and needs, and still staying your true artistic self.
they are completely different things.
Mm,
Social media. I mean, don't get me wrong. I see people have careers because of social media. I think that era might be not coming to an end, but there's not the day where, like Joyce Student, they say she sold out Carnegie Hall with a tweet. It's like,
mm,
I think that time is sort of in the past. However, social media, I'm not saying social media is absolutely the future for sure. But if I have a huge social media presence and I go into rehearsal unprepared and I show up late and I don't sing well, I'm not going back to that company.
right.
Most likely, very, very likely. So there are certain professional things that you have to have just as a normal, which is, show up on time, know your music, be a good, decent person to your casting colleagues. And I mean, that's, you could apply that to any professional setting. And then social media, in addition to that, can be I think of it more of a supplement at this point. But again, I didn't mean to have followers. And I don't even know how many followers I have. That's how I am into helping people if I can. And if they like it, then great. But I think, again, what they like is not even always the message. It's the fact that I'm just being me doing it.
Right.
Like, I think you're probably picking up on that now. I mean, we talked for like 15 minutes before this about life and all sorts of stuff. And it's just, I don't know. When I meet people that are kind and reciprocate that sort of energy, I really do enjoy just chatting. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I also so appreciate the humility and the character that comes through when people meet. But going back to the authentic side, like removing the social media aspect, but just, taking that out of the equation. As a performer and you know what they're looking for, how do you navigate staying true to how you would show up on stage regardless of if you knew that information? Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And I mean, this is an even deeper question, because we could talk about authentically performing or being an authentic performer. But before you can even be an authentic performer, you have to be an authentic human. And so it really, before you can do any of that, you have to look inward and at least be able to think and, dare I say, judge. I think judge is probably not the right word to use, but at least be able to honestly look inside of yourself and judge or judge again,
Evaluate
judge.
maybe.
Yes, evaluate's a much better way. Thank you for feeding it. To evaluate what's going on in the moment, what's going on in the room. How am I coming off? Because I mean, in my 20s, I was all about, yes, maestro, yes, director. Let's just throw ourselves out there too much all the time. Lucas, rein it in. In my 30s, I was a little defensive. I know what I'm doing now. I'm ready to go out there. No, let me take charge. Let me do this. And sorry, if you don't like this, I'm not gonna, I was a little combative. In my 40s, I'm back to yes, maestro, but would you mind if we possibly tried it this way? It's like you have to sort of like, you can't have any rough edges. You
Mm,
need to, you can't have too many rough edges. You really need to learn how to get what you need in a kind, thoughtful, and professional manner. And I don't know, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. Tell me
no,
the
I love
question
this
again. Yeah.
because yeah, no, just about being authentic when we are performers And we know you were talking about getting the role or being invited back, and it's because you started thinking more what the casting director wants. So my
Yeah.
question, knowing like how you appear online is very authentic. So I'm assuming that's one of your core values is authenticity, or even how we started this conversation is just very open and relatable from the beginning. So just wondering like how do you navigate that in this professional setting in these big halls like the
It's a it's a very difficult question because as I talk about authenticity, I start to think about the ways that I am inauthentic in a professional setting. Because in social media, I try to be very authentic. But in the opera building, you cannot be authentically yourself 100%.
Mhm.
You can go on stage and try and lend your authenticity to a moment on stage as a character and whatnot. But you authenticity has actually been my enemy for a lot of my career. I've gotten in because an opera career is international. If you succeed, you've got international opera career. I mean, there are American careers, there are European careers, there are German careers, there are Austrian careers, there are careers in many different facets. But I'd say that the biggest careers are the ones that end up being international. And if that's what you're searching to do, you do need to understand that they look on at least the American identity as being a little too much, a little too smiley, a little too out there. And that was something I had to learn in a bit of a difficult way. Even the first time I worked in Europe was in Germany, and I got the feeling that my Southern charm did not hit in the way it does in the South, especially. So I actually I act a little bit differently in Europe and even in different countries. I will act a little bit differently in the rehearsal process. And my friends are my friends. My friends get me. But
Yeah.
as soon as I walk into an opera house, I'm wearing a nice shirt. I walk in myself. If I were myself, I'd be wearing cut off jeans and like a used Jägermeister t-shirt, which is like my wear back when I was in school, But for me, it's like you have to look a certain way, you have to present yourself a certain way, and you dress for the job you want. So when you go into a house in Europe, you just can't quite be the same exact person that you are at home. If you go into
Mhm.
the opera house, you're there to work. It's the same. If you worked at a law firm or as a professor, you're not going in there, with a bowl of Cheerios and saying, "What's up, peeps? Let's learn about some quantum physics today." It's like you go in there with a certain aura, a certain air about yourself that you're a professional person who takes himself seriously. And so, yes, authenticity helps to a point. And I think you need to divide the social media authenticity from the professional setting in the rehearsal space and your dressing room and backstage authenticity.
But some people are using their socials in that way, the second way that you're describing, where they are very serious and they don't let people come past the wall of professionalism, let's say. And I think that's why we were so drawn to you, especially showing us examples of your vlogs or just like you let us in. Like, you've got your wife and your son, and he's running backstage, and you're showing your costume changes, and you're showing your warm ups, and you're showing, even your process of learning a brand new role in 4 months, I think was one of your videos. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, you're letting us in. And that's not something everyone does. So I'd be curious to know, like, you mentioned wanting to help others. Is there anything else behind this?
Well, I think it's kind of old school to be the wrapped up artist who's not going to let people in because social media takes down the barrier for us. I can write to Renee Fleming, and I mean, she's not going to get it, but her social media team will get it. And maybe she'll say, "Hey, Lucas wrote you." But I mean, it's like you do feel like you have access to people that you've never had before. Even backstage at the Met, some people would slip out the crew door, and so it's like, it's just a different world. Social media has completely leveled the playing field and made opera stars, more accessible to people.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, in a way, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It actually sort of goes back to the authenticity in Europe thing that I had. It's like the whole Maria Callas sort of thing. And I'm not going to speak. And it's like this. Even the way people acted back then. I'll watch recordings of famous Italian baritones, and they really just stand and sing, and they mean everything in the voice. But these days, it's just a little bit more. There's a little more physicality to the acting, a little more. I guess they would consider it overdone, where now we would consider them to be stoic
Mm.
and underdone. And but again, you can choose to label that as a positive or negative thing. If I call the way they did it stoic, then it sounds nice. If I call it boring, then it's not nice. If I call ours overdone or overacting, or I could call it, wow, they really physicalize those emotions. It's like, so, and it's potato, but because social media opens things up, I'm kind of an open guy myself. I'm from the South. My mom loves to talk to people. My dad's really cool dude. And he's like, so I don't know. I don't fall far from my parents' tree, and they were really open people. And so I don't know. Social media, it's mine. I get to have it. I get to do what I want with it. Right. So I'm going to be open. I'm going to give back if I can.
That's beautiful. I'd love for you to talk more about this culture thing where you're saying, being an American in Germany, or, I mean, how have you, what's
Yeah.
the Italian version of Lucas right now? How are you acting in rehearsals? Are you a bit more fiery when you're giving feedback, or are you, I know you're
Not at
eating great
all.
pasta. No, okay.
I am. I had pasta for dinner, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But no, I think if you keep it classy at all moments, if there's a moment you think, am I overdoing it? Am I being too much? Say this instead. Am I keeping it classy? Because that's the most important thing. And that has really served me well in these particular settings of expectations, because they do have certain expectations. And when I'm asked, where are you from? And they don't assume American if they don't know me, then I think I've done my job.
Mm-hmm.
No, so yeah, I just, less is more. Less is more. If you're an American listening to this, which who knows, maybe you are, maybe not, but less is more in Europe.
Yes,
Keep it
I've learned
classy.
that also just a couple times the hard way, being my smiley Canadian self coming over here to the Netherlands where I'm based, and sometimes they're just like, we don't get it, you
Yeah.
just this kind of instant best friend connection that you can have with someone. They're like, friendships take a lot longer over here to kind of get to know people and trust, but then once you're in, you're really in, and you become kind of one of the
Yes.
core
Yeah.
circle. So I had to learn to navigate that. It's been interesting. How do you find the audiences with all of these concerts internationally, like you're saying? Or do you notice a difference with the people and the responses?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the American audience is, for the most part, the applause gets louder towards the last bow.
Okay.
Uh, and, uh, and that will happen sometimes in Europe, but, that's what's nice is when, I mean, let's talk about what is nice is what I find nice is if there's, I'll give an example that I had. I was at the Met and I watched Porgy and Bess. That was years ago, but the Strawberry Man, he was like, I don't know what the name of the role. He was selling strawberries, the most beautiful baritone voice. And when he came to bow, I was like, Strawberry Man. And I'm like, I love it when people can hear somebody that sings and says, oh man, they might not have a big role yet. That means they're young. That means they're up and coming. Let's encourage them, because God, what a talent that was. But it's because people have lost the ability to tell that that's a talent, because
Mm.
people, well, this is getting a little deeper than maybe we want, but I find that people these days, they listen and they taste with their eyes. And I think this is a product of social media
Mhm.
and the time that we live in. So if you go to a restaurant, all the waiters are dressed really nicely in a hip style, and they serve these beautiful plates full of food, and it's art on the plate, and it tastes kind of good but not great. It's great because it looked great. But if you go to a restaurant that's got, chicken wire, and you're sitting at, bar stools and everything, and you taste something that's by a chef who's really good in the back, and you're like, oh my God, that knocked my socks off. It is just good because of the setting, because we're eating with our eyes. It's the same thing when we're listening to opera many times, is that if somebody looks impressive, then they must sound impressive.
Mm.
And it's just not the way of the world right now. And so you have a small percentage of the audience who know what they're listening for, and another percentage of the audience, a much larger percentage, is like, good for them. They did that really well. And yay, we paid a lot of money for these seats, so it has to be good. So there's a bit of a disconnect right now. I mean, it's probably been this way for a long time, if I'm being honest. The people that really know, the voices that are the next big things. But I feel like the disconnect's a little bigger these days than it has been in the past.
So why are there so few who know what they're listening for, and how do we get more of them? Is it an education question? Is it, as you're saying, we have too much visuals in front of us all the time on the phone? Like, where is this coming from?
It's probably a few things. I mean, I don't want to act like some guru that knows all this, but I do know that instant gratification I feel it myself when I'm looking at reels. I'm like, all right, well, I saw enough of that. Or if somebody on social media says, hey guys, thanks for, I'm like, swoop, get into it, but that's the moment that we're living in. It's it's
Yeah.
like, what's up guys? What's up team? What's up? I'm like, no, it's like, just start talking. Like it literally, and even if I say that, I'll cut that part out just
Yes.
because it's all it is to say, am I going to be good at this? Is this going to be a good take? That's what I hear when I hear people say that. Is this going to be a good take? And so this instant gratification thing, it's part of, in my opinion, this, this idea. But again, now the more I think about it, it's not anything so new.
Hmm.
But I think, especially in America, we are moving. We have moved into a direction of trying to put on stage something that we think the audience will approve of before it is talented, before it gets on stage. We're trying to say something before the art has said something. Look at what we've done. Look at the show we're doing. Look at the cast we have. Oh, it's so diverse. It's so whatever it is. You can add in buzzwords here and there. And so they get to sell that on social media, and they get to sell that in the media. And before it's open, oh, it's going to be a success because look how
How much
buzzword it
stuff.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it hasn't even opened, and the people haven't even sung, and it's buzzword great. Or you can go see the show that they're doing after that show, and maybe it's a better show. Maybe it's got better singers. So again, this, of course, I've always liked to wish that best singer could win, because I really think that's what opera should be about. Is best singer for the role sings that role, and there's some really great singers right now. I'm not one of these people that thinks all the golden age singers were then and there's nothing now. I think if anything, we're at least a match for the golden age singers right now. And they didn't have to deal with all this pressure, all the social media pressure, because it's a lot. It's a lot to have. It's a bit of a monster, actually, because now it's not just what you did that night in the theater. It's and then what are you saying afterwards? Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. He's saying Votan. Sure, he did that, but what does he have to say about it tomorrow when he's eating his breakfast and his coffee and his espresso? And is he going to Cafe Luxembourg? And it's like, there's just so much more. But it's great and it's terrible, and it's responsible for some things that it's blamed on, and it's not responsible for other things that it is. So I don't know. It's just nobody can pin it down. It's just always moving.
I think it's just fascinating how you're describing, the buzz around the show to sell it. But what do you do if the problem is, as you said, most of the audience doesn't know what they're listening for. So then they actually kind of need to do all this build up, this hype to get people butts in seats so that we can sell tickets, so that we can keep going because we need the money, we need the funding
Yeah.
for the show. So, I mean, it's like we need to
Well,
educate audiences to be listening for quality. So,
yeah. But that is exactly why I'm bringing this up as sort of an issue, is that the show is great before the audience is gone.
mm,
And when a show is great before they've gone, then you can't really judge it on its merits, and you're not teaching people about what is actually great. And every once in a while, there will be a show that's not supposed to be great, but they got a cast just perfect. And there's such great chemistry. And then all of a sudden, that's all people are talking about. It's like, oh my God, have you seen this show? And it'll kind of come out of nowhere. And they'll be like, and all of a sudden they sell out. And that used to happen a lot more in opera. I find that it doesn't happen quite as often these days. That, there's just this chemistry among the cast. They cast perfect people at the perfect times for the perfect repertoire that's in their voice. And they really just hit it on all cylinders, and it's just firing off. And you'll see it. You'll see it because it will supersede social media. It will use social media to help, but then word of mouth will start talking about it. And like Opera Theater St. Louis is doing this right now. Like, they're doing a great job at not just utilizing social media, but hiring great singers and great people to come be part of their productions. And they've leveled up, frankly. Houston Grand Opera, another one who's just leveled up because they're hiring great people. And I think, of course, a singer would say this, but it has to start with the singing. It can't just be, wow, that production was so complex. Oh man, that maestro, did you see his hair was so long and curly and he did all this stuff? And the orchestra, sure, the orchestra can sound great and the set can look great, but if you don't hire world-class singers, or at least singers that are at the level at the perfect time to do this, I mean, it's a whole mix. That's what opera is. That's what makes it the greatest art form, is that it combines all these things. But if it doesn't start with the foundation of having great singing, you're built upon a cracked foundation.
mm-hmm. It sounds like there should be something in your future about bringing casting, directing together. Is there anything around
No, never, never.
putting people
Oh,
together and finding chemistry, and you have to know what's going to work, right? I mean, you're lighting up talking about
yes.
it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anyone had the formula, there'd be one opera house that was the most successful opera house in the world, and all of them others would be like, well, teach us your ways. But I mean, I have so much respect for casting directors for doing exactly this. And when they get it right, it's like, like Greg Hinkle. I think Greg Hinkle is one of the best casting directors in the world. He's San Francisco Opera. So you don't know, he's the casting director of San Francisco Opera. And he has found so much talent, European talent, that have come over and made their debuts at San Francisco Opera, like Luciano Pavarotti, who he wasn't responsible for. But, San Francisco Opera has launched a lot of, and I'm not just saying because I love the company. I think Greg's a great guy, and I think he's a great casting director. And that's what I look for in a casting director, is somebody that's going to have that vision. That's not just, like I said, making it on paper a good show, but it's somebody that takes into account, not just the height of the tenor and the soprano. Oh, it's a little off, even though their voices might be perfect. You can ignore so much if the voices are right, if they mean what they're saying, and if it's the right time for them to be singing that repertoire.
That's a very complicated formula. As you're saying, if there was a formula, there's a lot of factors going
It
into it.
is so many factors, and to learn about those factors, it's a whole other ballpark, man. It's more than I want to do.
With all the productions that you've done, when's a moment that you knew on stage, like, I'm in the right place with the right people and there's chemistry and this is a golden moment?
That's a great question. Oh my God. Honestly, it's hard to recall just one. I mean, the most recent one was probably Don Giovanni in Los Angeles. I thought we had an amazing cast. I thought we really gelled together. We liked each other. We sang well together. Thais at La Scala felt that way. It was a really great cast. I mean, because you have some operas like Don Giovanni and Le Nozze di Figaro that have 6 to 8 main characters, and if you mess up 1, 2 of those, it's hard to build around that, and it's easier to drop the ball on that. But if you do a Pearl Fishers or a Thais, like Thais has 2 main characters and then a few other characters, but like you have to have a good tenor, but in like Pearl Fishers, 3 main singers and then a Nurabad. But if you do one of those, Tosca, same thing, it's like you've got the 3 main. If you can get those right, it's easier to make one of those really live, and than it is to make a Nozze di Figaro or a Don Giovanni. So when a Don Giovanni or a Nozze di Figaro, one with more of a cast, gets it together and there's a chemistry, that's a little more rare. But yeah, I mean, it does happen, but I won't say it's rare, but it's not common.
And it makes for beautiful moments to look back on. You were talking at the beginning about the process of getting to this point in your career and appreciating all the success. Maybe like reflecting on those golden moments is a way to appreciate the journey that you've had.
It should be, but honestly, I spend so much time looking forward and being in the moment. Especially a child will do that for you. I have a 6-year-old son, and he really keeps me grounded in the moment. And I actually have a fear of looking in the past because I start to feel like it's going too fast in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the older I get, the faster it feels like it's going in a way. And so I'm like, oh man, I must have debuted in San Francisco just like 10 years ago. I'm like, no, it's like 20 plus. And and I don't know. It's so, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to my therapist about it, but that too, I hyper focus on the now, and being as present with my son and my family as I can, and also present in what I'm working on, because it really, really helps. It's like I can look in the future and say, oh, I can't wait for that gig. Honestly, I played that game before, and it doesn't lead anywhere other than not appreciating where you're on the moment. People will ask me, oh, what are you doing in the next summer? I'm like, I don't know. And they ask me, what's your favorite opera? I'm like, well, it's what I'm doing in the moment. All right. Now,
That's
my favorite opera is the Pearl Fishers. It's pretty simple. I mean, I have a media answer to that question, I guess you could call it. But really, I just love what I'm working on because I'm so deep into the work. I'm sold on it. I sell myself on it so that I can give the audience what I sold myself on. It's like, if you don't trust it, if you don't believe it, you can't make an audience believe you.
I need to know more about your work process. How have you learned to dig in and go deeper in the work, working harder now than you ever have before?
It's all about keeping the bouncy castle inflated.
Okay.
I mean, there's kids bouncing all over the place and you're doing this and you're doing this. And you're like, all right, let me just make sure that pump's working and let me patch up all the holes that are leaking air. And I feel like I'm the juggler, I'm the juggling. And I don't know, the more you do it, the more balls are in the air. That's just what it is. It's not easier. It's easy to look, but people see the product of success, not the path to success.
Yeah.
And so people don't want to think that it's ever been hard for me or that I've had to struggle in order to get here, that there were times when I would have nothing.
Isn't
Yeah.
that the ultimate American success story? That the struggle is what people gravitate towards? Wow, look how far he's come. Maybe that's just
It
American
is,
Idol and not with the opera stars.
I feel like, yeah, I
Or they
feel like
want you to be this prestigious image that they can kind of idolize, look up to.
well, there's a lot of contention, and I don't mean to get like about, American politics, and not even politics, but like, it's like people don't want people to come from nothing and they don't want people to come from something. And
Mm.
it's like they just sort of see, have you succeeded in this moment? And if the answer is yes, then, oh, great, they're successful. And it's very spur of the moment. It's very, very just, I don't know. There's not much space in people's minds for, oh yeah, I was a struggling young singer who came from a family that I don't call poor, but we didn't have much. And it's just, because they say, or some people feel that, oh, well, I had less than that. And I had more than that. It's just hard to empathize these days with other people. And not for me. My heart's on my sleeve. I'm an incredibly empathetic person with people. I empathize with animals. I, I, I try and be incredibly empathetic, and so I'm even empathetic with people that can't be empathetic towards me because of what I've experienced. So I'm just trying to say that when they see the success you have, it almost discounts any sort of trouble you had getting to that success.
Interesting. It's like, oh, you're fine now. You're clearly doing fine. So we're going to ignore the fact that you had to work like crazy to get to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I just give you an example. Like, one of the first gigs I ever got, I was a sophomore it was between my sophomore and junior summer at Appalachian State University, which is the school I got into. I got into a few schools, but it was the cheapest school I got into, which is why I attended school there, because I couldn't afford anything else. And that summer, I got into the Horn in the West. It's an outdoor drama, and they paid me $7 a day for rehearsals and $11 a day for performances. And I was paying $50 a month to sleep on the floor in the living room of a friend of mine's house. And I felt, all right, but the thing is, I felt so alive because I was doing every day. I was going into and performing and practicing. I was so happy. I didn't know hardship. I guess I only knew not even hardship. I didn't know anything about anything. I was so ignorant. I think that sort of attitude really can get you far. Just this
Yeah.
gleeful ignorance, just the enjoyment of being around people that like to do what you like to do. And it is a bit of I mean, the gleeful ignorance can become sort of dangerous ignorance if you assume everyone thinks like you, because eventually there is some cattiness in the opera world, which I didn't really understand. I just thought, God, how lucky are we all to be here? Shouldn't we all just be nice to each other and love each other? And it's all great until you start talking about levels of things. And then, well, I want this job and you're trying to get this job and you're a soprano and I'm a soprano. We sing the same repertoire. So the more you concentrate on yourself and the more you let all that stuff go by, the better you will do in anything you try to do. Just
Mm.
know that you're not in competition against anyone but yourself.
It's like that rise higher adage. You just have to kind of go up above, the
Yeah.
chickens and the eagle. Eagle rises higher.
Put helium in your bouncy house.
I love this bouncy house analogy. Okay, so you've just dug into the work. You focus on your craft. You're appreciating the response you're getting. What else keeps the drive so high? What urges you to keep going? What's behind all of this energy? I mean, I know you guys, and I'd love to talk also about your wife and your collaboration with her, but you guys have a very busy life. You travel also with your child. I've seen him running around backstage. I mean, I know you're navigating a lot. Your albums that you've done together, it's a ton.
Well, I mean, to get really real, it's one of those things that worries me because it's like success begets a certain lifestyle that becomes the norm that only success can keep aloft. And so there's more pressure on me now because of my son, because of my wife, because of our lifestyle to continue this lifestyle that we've established. And it's kind of a snake eating its own tail in a way. And a lot of people in the opera world don't talk about it. Be an artist at a high level, you have to be paid a certain amount of money to be able to afford to travel 10 months out of the year while you're paying mortgages at home and while you're paying for apartments in the most expensive cities in the world. So it's a very expensive proposition to try and get into opera. And the fact that they are now bringing fees down while everything else, not even now, I mean, fees haven't gone up in 12 years, ever since 2008, maybe even more. Like 2010 was when the that financial meltdown was 2008, 2009. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden prices stagnated and then they've been bringing down fees. So while everything is getting more expensive, look at flights compared to 2010, look at
It's
hotels.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
to think that the highest level opera singers in the world are getting paid the same or less than they were in 2010, when if you look at, I mean, I think teachers probably in the same boat, you know? So it's like, it's just, it looks incredibly glamorous. And in many ways it is. But if you had a Kim Kardashian 24-hour video on me sort of thing, you would see how unglamorous it could actually be. And I like to play with that in my social media as well. You know, where I'm like, look, okay, yeah, this is cool. After party, New Year's Eve, Metropolitan Opera, whatever. That's great. But then look at my kid, you know, not letting me and my wife practice because he just wants to hang out and bang on the piano and he just wants to play because he's a 5-year-old, you know, he's a 6-year-old. He's just at these levels. So I don't know, it's just tough. And anyone that you see as successful, it doesn't matter who they are. They've worked hard to get to that place. I mean, quick story. I was at the Grammys, which all of a sudden, you know, well, Grammys, whatever. I'm not mentioning it for the Grammys. I mentioned it because I gave a speech when we won for LA Opera's. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to even say the Grammys. I'm just trying to say I had nothing in common with those people in that room. And
Well,
I
you won a
didn't know what
Grammy.
to
We
say.
can say that. That's very cool.
Yeah, yes, I guess I did. But the thing was, I was in this room with people that sing into microphones for a living, and I don't sing into microphones. And I said, I have so little in common with you out there. But what every single person in this room has, which is proven by the fact that you're in this room, is that we all worked hard to get where we are. We all did the grind. We
Mm.
grinded it out to be able to be where we are, to be nominated and potentially win a Grammy tonight. Like there were like 3 people that got applause within their speech, and I got an applause for my speech. And that's my point, though, is that when you see somebody that is successful or looks successful to you, it's because they have worked hard to become successful. There are very few people out there that are like, oh, they were just handed it. Oh, they're born with a spoon in the mouth. Oh, they're just good looking, so they got, you know, they worked hard to get where they are. And it doesn't matter if they're the annoying person that's, you know, like on social media that you scroll right through and it doesn't go in your algorithm, or if it's somebody that you like a lot. They worked hard to get there, to be in front of your eyes. And there's something to respect about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you had that common thread for everyone in the room that night to say, hey, I see you and I validate what it took for you to be even sitting here.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I knew nothing about their business. Like,
Mm.
yeah, I know nothing about that side of the business. The recording industry is a complete anomaly to me. I don't know anything about it. I know how to get up on stage and make a sound that you can hear with 3,000 people in the house over an orchestra and a chorus. And, I mean, it's a very specialized skill, and that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Can we talk a bit about your collaboration with Irina and how you guys navigate a marriage and collaborative work and raising your son and the travel and her gorgeous outfits? I mean, I am her biggest, like, I found her on Instagram because she was doing that vlog of her skincare in flight. And I was like, I need everything this girl has. I am such a fan.
Oh, this is every flight. There's a moment where she says, "Do you want? I just do this,"
Yes.
and she goes, "Choo, choo, 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 choo," you know.
You're going to look so good in 30 years because of her. So, you know, you got a lot to.
Completely. Oh, I have a whole facial routine because of her. It used to be bar of soap, you know, once a week, done. You know,
Yes.
and now it's like, oh, I've got lotions and potions. It's like the movie Hocus Pocus 3 up in my bathroom when I go to bed.
That's amazing.
Oh, sorry. Where are we going with this? I'm
Yeah,
so
no,
sorry.
no. I just wanted to. How is it to work with your wife?
Oh,
How have you guys navigated your
yes.
projects? I mean, I was listening to your album
Oh,
this morning, the "Shall We Gather." I thought that was so beautiful.
thank you. Learning curves everywhere. Learning curves everywhere because working together and being married couple, lovers, parents, we wear so many hats together. And the overarching theme that we have to have at all time is patience and respect.
Wow.
And that is not always easy with the life that we live. And when and forgiveness, if I'm being honest, that's a really
Mm-hmm.
big one. I will
Mm-hmm.
say to myself sometimes, if Irina says something, she has a tone or she has whatever's going on, I'm like, do you think she's trying to hurt you? My inner dialogue. Do you think she's trying to do? I will forgive her so many things before I say something to her because I know she's dealing with a lot. It's hard to be who she is. It's hard to do all the things she does. And I'll say about social media, she is my social media guru. She has so many amazing ideas. We are collaborators to the extreme. We make it all happen together. And she'll have an idea and we'll set it up and we'll just knock it out. Or I'll have an idea. And it's just, I am so fortunate. I don't know. I just can't imagine. I don't want to set up any unrealistic expectations for anyone that's looking for a partner out there to be able to do all the things Irina does, because she's an incredible mom, an incredible musician, an incredible wife, an incredible social media collaborator, an incredible teacher of our son. And she's an incredible traveler. You just have to find the more things you can love together and the more respect you can have for each other, the better off you'll be in the long run as a couple.
I have admired your marriage for so long, just from what you allowed us to see through your posts and watching how much respect you do show each other, even in the social media setting. So, thank you for being an example. I know a lot of people listening have questions around marriage and kids and how to make it all work as a traveling artist. So, I think having examples like you guys through thick and thin, through the difficulties, no one's pretending things are easy or perfect, but just watching people like figure it out as you go with patience, respect, as you're saying. It's a huge example for people.
Yeah. Well, humility is a big part of it too, because I couldn't have been the person that I am when I married Irina 10 years before or 5 years before even, it's like growth comes in different ways. And if you find yourself in a situation out there and you're looking at from the outside in saying, oh, he makes it look so easy. It's not easy. It's
Mhm.
always hard. But what's really important is figuring out what you need as a person. I am a needy person. I am a selfish, needy person who wants my family. I want my people with me as much as they can be with me. I am lucky enough to have gotten to a point in my career that I can make it happen and I can bring them with me. Right now, I feel like I'm sacrificing a lot here in Florence because my son is not with me because he just started school, a private school.
I saw that.
And yeah, and so because they were supposed to come to Fiesole with me and be in Florence here. And but because it was the beginning of the school year, we decided it would be best for him to start school with all the kids and not be the kid that comes in a month and a half later and then starts school. So he gets a good fresh start in the place, in the program. And I've been here in Florence by myself for 3 weeks, which I mean, Florence is great. I don't mean to complain. I'm just saying I don't have my people with me, and that is difficult for me.
Mhm.
Find what works for you. Find what you need. Find what you want, but inside of yourself. Not don't take into consideration the relationship yet. Think, what do I need? What do I want? Then ask your partner what they need and what they want, and find a way together to make as many of those boxes, check as many of those boxes as you can. And I think that's a good way to start trying to maintain a career in opera with a family.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for everything you shared. I think we touched on so many different topics. I have much more. I'm gonna definitely have your wife on so I can get her side of the
Oh
story
my
too.
God. She will talk your ear off. She's
I
great.
can't wait. Yeah, I would love it. Is there anything that we didn't mention that you would love to share?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm feeling so, I don't know. This has been such a wonderful interview. I just, for anyone out there listening or watching at home, just know that this is a difficult thing to do.
Mm.
And it's okay that opera is difficult because anything worth doing is going to be difficult. And the more you can give to it, the more you sacrifice, the more you get out. And just know that from the get go, it is a difficult thing to do. So if you're feeling it's difficult, if you're down about it, if you're having a hard time, know that that's simply part of the journey of not just this career, but of life itself. And just keep going with it in any direction you see fit, and trust inside your heart that you know the direction that's best. Because there's so many times where I knew the right thing, and if I hadn't chosen the path that I felt was right, I would have made a mistake. And so know that it's within you, and that this is just hard, and that you're going to get through it.
That's amazing. That's such great counsel for everyone listening. Thank you so much, Lucas, for your time. I know you have a big opening tomorrow night.
I do.
Yeah. So toi, toi, toi. We'll be
Thank
cheering
you.
you on, and would love to get to hear you live one day. I'm going to make that happen. I have your schedule. I know
Absolutely.
where you are next summer. Maybe you don't, but I looked it up. So I'm gonna come
That's
find you
great.
guys. Or maybe in Minneapolis, you never know. Thank you so much for your time. And for everybody listening, go follow Lucas, your socials, Lucas Meachem.
That's it.
That's it. Go check out all of his great
Super
stuff,
easy.
his vlogs, his behind the scenes. We love it. Thanks for being here, everybody. And Lucas, thank you so much.
A pleasure. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the Fearless Artist Podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to share this podcast with a friend. To join our membership or one of our coaching programs, visit our website at thefearlessartistmastermind.com. This episode was produced by Pokey Huang at phMediaStudios in New York City. We're Deanna and Michelle, encouraging you to create your own opportunities and to go after what you want. You have what it takes to build the career of your dreams. Until next time, be fearless.